So on page 228 in the workbook, we are looking at glossaries today, okay? So we looked at dictionaries last week, I believe. And this week we are looking at glossaries, 228 link. So, glossaries don't just, glossaries are a lot like the dictionaries, right?
Yes.
They give us a lot of information. But a lot of times when we look at a glossary, what's different? What do you guys know that's different between a glossary and a dictionary? Bella?
In a glossary, it's like if you're trying to find out what meaning means and stuff, but in a dictionary,
The dictionary does the same thing, right? So that's one way they're the same, right? Is that they both tell us the definitions, and a lot of times they'll tell us the pronunciation or how you say it. Grace?
One way that they're different is dictionaries have most words, but glossaries only have the words that are in the book.
Right. So it's like if we are looking in our social studies book when we do our social studies vocabulary. Keegan, get out reading workbook 228.
Okay.
We just started. So when we look in the glossary of our social studies book, it doesn't have every word in the English language. It has the words in our textbook, right? So the glossary is more specific to that specific area or book that we are looking at, okay? Does that make sense? So let's look at this little excerpt of a glossary, that little dark bluish green box, okay? It says bay up at the top. That tells us, because this is only half, but that tells us what the first word on this page is, right? So that's one of our guide words. When we look at this, I want you guys to use the dictionary to complete this page. And it says, find and circle the pronunciation key. So where is the pronunciation key, Bella?
the like yellow box.
The yellow box, right? Where it says all the different A's with the accents and the E's. Do you all see that? You need to circle that whole box. That's our first step. Circle the pronunciation key. The yellow box. Lillian, circle the yellow box. Okay, put whatever else that is away. Thank you. Which entry words are adjectives? So you can see if we look at bay, it tells us the pronunciation and it tells us it's a noun. Where does it tell us what two words are adjectives? Someone other than Bella. Where do we see an adjective? Joseph. No, so not the adjective in that definition, but you see how next to bay it says noun? What word next to it says adjective? Okay, let me show you guys an example. Look at the word board. Look at the word board. It's the third word from the bottom. Do you see how it says adjective next to it? You need to write board on number 2. And what's our other word? Charisma?
Boisterous.
Good, boisterous. So our two words for that are bored and boisterous. Write those down for number 2. Number 3 says, what is the definition of a word with the pronunciation? And it has that pronunciation. Who can read that word for me? Because I don't want to say it because that doesn't help you guys. Lincoln?
Bluff.
Good, bluff. What is the definition of bluff? What does it say on our box? Keegan?
How do you spell board?
It's on your paper in the blue box. Sarah, what is the definition of bluff?
It's a steep cliff, hill, or riverbank.
Good. That's what you need to write down on number 3. Now, if we look at the word bluff, this isn't on your page, but if we look at the word bluff, there's more than one definition of that word, okay? It could be a steep hill, cliff, or riverbank, or it could be someone's bluffing, or it's kind of like a lie, right, about something. So, like, think of cards where you're like, you're bluffing, right? Have you ever heard someone say that? Like, you're joking or you're lying. So, why would it not give us both definitions in this glossary? A dictionary would, Ben.
Maybe it only means a certain word.
In this book, right? In this book, it only meant this one definition, okay? Now look at number 4. Write 2 words that have only one syllable. Okay, there's a lot of different options, so I want you to pick. Okay? Write 2 words. Now, which 2-syllable word is accented on the second syllable? You have to look at the pronunciation. Which one is accented? Remember, the accent means it's got that little comma. Sarah, do you see it? No, that's on the first syllable. Do you see that little comma? Do you see the one where the comma's on the second? What is it?
Bazaar.
Good, bazaar. Right, bazaar. B-A-Z-A-A-R. Bazaar. All right. Which entry word has an E with the sound E in pet? Pet. So first off, to look at this, I want us to look at our yellow box. Find the word pet in the yellow box. Do you see what that one looks like? It's an E with like a little upside down arch over it, right? So what word has the E with a little upside down arch? Bella?
Bottleneck.
Bottleneck. Good. Bottleneck. Ben, do you have a question?
What's
A
a bottleneck?
bottleneck? Well, read that definition to me. Can you read it for me?
A narrow or blocked section of river or stream.
Sometimes they'll also say there's a bottleneck in traffic. So it's where it says it's a blocked section, or it could be like where you can't get through. That's called a bottleneck. Sometimes there's bottlenecks in the hallways, right? Where you can't get through. Lincoln?
Reminding me of a bottlenose dolphin.
It's a little different. What part of speech is the word bound? So find the word bound. Sweet, can you see that for us? Find bound. It's our very last word. What type of speech is that? Noun, adjective, verb. Verb, good. So write verb. Now, it wants you to copy down the pronunciation for the word birthstone. Okay, you need to copy that down. So you should have it where it looks like this. You look over at how they have it, and you copy it exactly, even the little arches. You put it on the line. Birthstone.
Oh, I thought
Yes, Keegan.
what did you put bound?
What is the type of speech? It's our very last word. Not the definition. What part of speech is it? Is it a noun, adjective, or a verb? What does it say? Verb. Okay. All right, now I want you guys to look at page 229. Okay, 229. Do you guys see that green box? It says pronunciation, part of speech, guide words, entry word, definition. Do you all see that? Okay, we are going to use those words to fill in the lines on the box above it. Okay? So do you see that yellow highlighted section at the top? It says palmito and polio. Those are called guide words. So you're going to write guide words in that section. If you don't know how to spell it, look in the green box. Write guide word on that line, that blank line between those two words. Do you all see that? While you are writing that, listen. The guide words are what tell you the first word on that page and the last word on that page. If you look, palomito is the first word on that page. Even though we can't see polio, that's telling me if we had the whole page here, because we only have the top half, if we had the whole page, the last word on that page would be polio. Okay, because remember, just like in the dictionary when we talked about, those guide words help you if you're looking for a specific word to know, okay, is my word, if I'm looking for the word pharmacist, I'm like, okay, so that's PH. Okay, so is it going to be between palomito and polio? Yes. Okay, because they're in alphabetical order. But if I'm looking for something like, let me think, push, is push going to be on this page?
No.
No, because U comes after O, right? So we know it's going to be on the next page probably, right? So that's what the guide words do. Now, do you see the line the blank line that has an arrow pointing to the word palomito? That word palomito is called an entry word. You need to write entry word on that line. The one pointing to palomito, the one on the top left. Top left. Top left. It's pointing to palomito. That's called the entry word. That's telling us what word we are looking at. If we didn't have the entry words and we only had the definitions, that would not help us, right? If I need to know what the definition of palomito is, but all it tells me is the definition, I don't know if that is the definition to palomito, right? So that's how I know that that is the word. Yes. Nope, you put entry word. That's what the entry word is. It tells you what word you're looking at. Now, look at the top right where there's an arrow pointing to the little section that looks kind of similar to this, where it's got the accents and everything. Who can tell me what that's called? Charisma? Pronunciation. Good. Pronunciation. It's telling you how to pronounce that word. Okay? So pronunciation. Again, if you don't know how to spell it, look in the green box. Now look at the bottom left. It's pointing at what part? Who can tell me what the bottom left is pointing at? Lillian?
The definition.
The definition. Okay? So that one is showing you the definition of parsley. So you need to write definition on that bottom left. Now, look at the last blank. That is pointing to the word noun. So what is that, Grace?
Part of speech.
Part of speech. So you need to write part of speech on that line. Okay? Now, look at number 1. To get the meaning of the word parka, what part would you read? Charisma? The definition. So you need to write definition on number 1. Again, if you don't know how to spell it, look in the green box. Number 1 is definition. Number 2, I'm going to read it while you guys are finishing writing. To find out if pan is a noun or a verb, what would you look at? Keegan? If you're wanting to know if it's a noun or a verb, what are you looking at? Look at the bottom left. What did we write on the bottom left of that top box? Or the bottom right, I'm sorry, bottom right. The bottom right, bud. Good, part of speech. Perfect, part of speech. The part of speech tells us if it's a noun, verb, adjective, and so on. Okay? So number 2 should be part of speech. And number 3, to decide if peso has a long vowel sound, which part would you look at? Sarah?
You would look at the pronunciation.
Perfect, pronunciation. And number 4, to determine quickly if a word would be on the page, which parts would you look at? Mary?
Entry word.
You're close. Guide words, right? The guide words tell you if it's going to be on that page. All right.